Good day, everyone. Richard Copperthwaite for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us for one of our regular shows with St Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. I should know we're taping this show on Wednesday, January 19th, one day after the governor's budget address. But we're talking a lot of bucks. Seems like going back some years when I was hearing $1 billion in Vermont thrown around, Tim, I said, billion? That can't be right. Up to what, 7.7 billion when you throw in healthcare and everything, I guess?
Yeah, the one that struck me was when it was 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
And it's jumped
Boy,
three times.
tripled that amount.
Yeah. You know, I think just to give folks a quick education, if you take the education tax and the transportation fund out, or education budget and transportation budget, that leaves the general fund basically. And for people who may not be aware, that all that money in the general fund is what raised in four main areas, which account for about, I think, 67% of the general fund budget. And those four areas are sales tax, income tax, room and meals, and corporate tax.
Okay.
So between all of that amounts to 67%. So the more that budget goes, the more they have to raise from those four, mainly those four categories, if you will.
Well, Governor Scott, as he seems like he always does, talking about no new taxes. Again, I guess one of his lines yesterday was, we don't need more taxes, we need more taxpayers,
Right.
of course.
Yeah, he's been using that for a couple of
Boy,
years.
and this is something, I guess he mentioned, boy, our workforce figure, we're down how many thousands of people, Tim, since before the pandemic?
Oh, I didn't hear that number.
Boy, was it 5,000? I might even be low.
Oh,
maybe more like 20. I think I took notes on it, I forget, but just a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's,
It might have been
I think it's
20.
much more than 5.
Yeah, no, it might have been even 20 or something.
20 or 25,000 maybe.
Wow. And with your day job, Franklin County Industrial Development Corp., just an ongoing, things getting any better in the last month or two in terms of finding more employees?
There's been a lot of conversations regarding what some programs might be to help.
Yeah.
The high school, Bellsford Academy, is a lot more engaged in workforce and, well, I should say career development, not necessarily pushing students to college, but they're more online with educating about the opportunities if someone chooses not to go into college.
Yeah, and trades, and certainly the governor
Exactly.
talked about that a lot yesterday.
Yeah, if individuals into trades, plumbing, electric,
Well, talk about a pretty good life. Talk about we must be getting close to, for some of those folks after a few years, maybe 6 figures even.
Easily.
Easily.
Yeah. And once you get yourself established and,
Wow.
what I've always said is that, it's one of those skill sets that even if you work for someone else, you can work weekends on the side and still make, $700, $8,000 on a weekend, if you want to do that. So
Have you got again, you're, it's pretty close to the school situation with your kids. Do you think is that getting some traction with
I think it is getting some traction. At least here at BFA, Brett Blanchard is really focused on this. The Career Center is focused on it. So I think they are making some significant headway on this. And COVID continues to, boggle it up a little bit. But they ultimately, I think they're going to have a room set aside for the career education where they can bring employers in, speak to students. They can advertise jobs. They can do a lot of that stuff. So
that's good. So that sounds like that is finally getting the attention it certainly should be getting. Wow.
But with that said, we're 10 or 15 years behind the curve. I mean, as you hear all the stats, the average construction foreman's age is 58 years old. The average heavy equipment operator is 56 years old, and there's not that pipeline coming up to fill in the loss of those jobs.
I hear you. I'm sorry to be part of the problem here. You're looking at our problem. People like me, I guess, but
the opportunity is that if there's seniors who want to go back to work, there's that opportunity to work very flexible hours, part time, at good pay. I mean, I was down in Rutland this weekend, and Dunkin' Donuts was advertising $16 to $18 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just for a fast food. I mean,
Wow.
manufacturers are looking at $22, $23 an hour.
Yeah.
I think IBM's that for a second shift.
Right.
And employers are just a lot more flexible in what the employee's needs are, whether it's, coming in late, leaving, or whatever the case is. They'll take
Yeah.
almost anyone just to fill some voids now.
Interesting.
I'm actually going to, this afternoon, I'm going down to Barry Callebaut. Barry Callebaut's working closely with the National Guard that they're one of, I think, 1,000 businesses around the Northeast who are guaranteeing interviews for National Guard's people who are returning from overseas that may not have had a job before they left or lost it for some reason. So the Barry Callebaut is one of those companies that has signed on to be a partner and will guarantee interviews, and hopefully jobs will come out of that. So
Well, that's
Barry
good.
Callebaut's thinking out of the box. It's more creative and it's another avenue for them to find employees.
That's great. But with your day job, just about everybody, most employers around here, just about everybody would kill for some more employees.
Everyone's looking for
Wow.
someone or a number of individuals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
What is St Albans City? Pretty stable workforce. Any problems finding jobs at City Hall for anybody who leaves? Or finding a replacement?
well, we haven't had we've had the same public works crew on for
So pretty
almost
stable.
two to 3 years. We've
Good.
been very fortunate. It's a great
Yeah.
team. They work well together, and they've stuck together. So,
Good.
and then in City Hall, obviously, I think we'll be touching on the city clerk
Yeah.
situation in a little bit. But other than that, the water plants, some of the public works individuals are doing upgrades, and they're training to be water plant operators as well, so they can do cross-training and cross-employment if need be. So cities positioning themselves very well to fill other voids that might come up. Real important ones, not that public works isn't, but the sewer plant and the water plant are, in case they're in need of employees, will be in a position to sort of cross-train.
That's good. March Town Meeting Day coming up, not too far away, the annual city meeting, and that's early as possible, Tuesday,
Right.
March 1st. I think of Election Day, correct me if I'm wrong, if an Election Day falls on the first Tuesday of November, I think they kick that down a week, but March Town Meeting Day, March 1 is good, so we're talking,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think I'm right about that, but I wanted to be sure we don't do that in the state, so March 1 is the date. And City Council, you've got a budget in hand for the next fiscal
Budget in
year?
hand, pretty much level funded for
Yeah.
this year, which I commend Dominic Cloud and his team, as well as the finance committee that worked on it, which was Tim Hawkins, Mike McCarthy, and Bob Farrar. So it came in at 0.4% increase. We don't know where the school budget is yet. That
Right.
is always can impact the total budget for sure. We have two other items on the ballot that people could vote on, and if approved, would raise that 0.4% a little bit. And those two items are bumping the allocation to the St. Albans Museum from 15 to 25,000.
Yeah.
And even if that gets turned down, we will backstop that contribution at 17,500. So worst case scenario is the museum would get 17.5 and not 25.
Right.
And the town is, I don't know if they're voting on it or just put in the budget so they matched. It's always a conversation about city and town equalizing the contributions
Right.
for items like this. And the town is at 25,000, or will be, I think.
And of course, St. Albans Town is now just edged ahead of the city in the 2020 census as being
Right.
just a little bigger than the city now.
Correct. And then the other one we'll vote on is within the police department is funding a position for a mental health individual to be on the street with the officers assisting when that need arises.
And that would be a second such position with City PD, Tim, or not?
The first one I think we partner with NCSS on this.
Okay.
This would be a specific city position.
Okay,
So, but
interesting.
the two still doing the same work.
Are other departments doing that, do you know? Is that
Yeah, I think Burlington is. They have mental health folks on the street as well. They work closely with the Howard Center, I believe.
Yeah,
Other communities, I'm not sure where communities like Essex
Yeah.
and Montpelier rely on that.
and staffing, city PD, doing okay?
We have one officer out on maternity leave, and I know we lost one to state police, but I think we've been able to fill those fairly quickly.
Talking about a dozen uniformed officers, is that what
Yeah, just about that.
you should have or hope to have?
Yep.
And new headquarters, PD's very happy to be in some new digs.
Yes, it turned out great. I give a shout out to Jim Cameron and his team. They did that. Came in under budget, allowed us to do some other stuff, and it's just it's a great facility that we think will help attract officers as well.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to where they were before, this really gives them a lot more space. Each one has their desk, so it's a much better setup for the officers all the way around.
Right. Fire department likely to stay at their
for
old
now.
digs in Lower Weldon for the foreseeable future.
Yes, we haven't really talked about that much, so I think that definitely is a plan for sure.
Yeah. Back to annual city meeting, March town meeting day. At this point, you're the only candidate you're aware of for mayor. I know the filing deadline is still about another week away or
That's
so.
Monday.
This coming Monday.
Yep.
Wow.
I haven't heard of anyone else.
Huh.
You made me think I have to get your signature if possible. So yeah, I think I'm the only one on the ballot for mayor.
So at this point, it looks like a pretty good bet for a third 2-year term.
It looks that way. Yes.
I've asked you about your kid. Do you think you may get another family challenge?
There were some rumblings about it, but he's been busy with other things. So
that's a break for you, huh? Interesting. I guess the key position, it looks like you're in obviously good shape, but again, a big issue certainly on March 1st is the city clerk treasurer situation. And again, looking, folks will be, city residents will be voting on a proposed charter change to make that an appointed position rather than an elected position. Right. And I guess you had, one public hearing and with no comments from the public? Is that what I read?
We had the public hearing, and I'm trying to think if there were any comments. I don't believe there were. People I've spoken to have agreed with the council that it makes sense in this day and age.
And again, at this point, there's no announced candidates for the position, correct?
No, none that I'm aware of.
Say, and let's out of curiosity, say nobody, does put in petitions. Can the council? I know you've got, I guess, an assistant clerk treasurer is doing her thing now, but could you appoint somebody?
I think if there are no individuals running, even during a normal year where, let's say, we're not addressing this issue, I think we would still have that ability to appoint someone.
You can obviously appoint somebody.
Yeah. So this would be no different for at least for the three. So what it does is there's a level of uncertainty if someone does choose to run for city clerk and treasurer, is that they could leave whatever job they have, take a chance on this, and only be there for 3 months. And then we have that opportunity, assuming the charter is approved at the legislative level and the voters approve it, we would we could go back to appointing someone July 1, and that that person could be out of a job.
Although presumably, if someone does run, I guess that person would obviously be hoping if he or she did a decent job, that person would be the very likely person to be appointed, but obviously no guarantee of that.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that change would be as of July 1st,
July
assuming
1.
City residents vote for it and the legislature approves it.
Exactly.
Interesting. But at this point, no, I think you said you've heard maybe one name of one potential
Right. I had a
candidate.
quick conversation with an individual last night that I think is debating it, but once again, if that individual is going to run, they have till Monday to get their signatures in as well, which You can do in an afternoon, obviously, but,
Right.
yeah, so, we'll see where we are come March 1.
Interesting. Of course, 2 council seats at stake. Ward 1, Tim Hawkins. Ward 2, Jim Pelkey.
Yes.
Are they both, I think you mentioned before that Tim was running again. Has Jim declared yay or nay whether
Yeah,
he'll...
Jim is not running
Not
again.
running again.
He's
Wow.
dealing with some health issues
Huh.
that have laid him up for an extended period of time, so he's chosen not to run as much
Okay.
as he would like to.
Boy, talk about someone with just an incredible store of institutional knowledge and a lot of other things.
So running for that seat is Jamie Pinkham.
Huh.
Jamie is out getting signatures now and will run for that seat. Jamie lives on Walnut Street, works at the hospital, has been playing a active role in COVID and the management team at the hospital for sure, and is the vice chair of the Police Advisory
Oh,
Council,
really?
and does a wonderful job there. So,
Sounds like a good, solid candidate.
yeah, I think she will be. She'll definitely be. She's a quality individual for sure, and I think she'd be a nice addition to the council.
Boy, the COVID situation, hard to stay away from that. Sounds like, and in fact, I'm thinking as we speak, Vermont was at, I know, 499 deaths, and I think I saw 2 new deaths yesterday, and I'm thinking that kicked Vermont over the 500 mark. If it hasn't, we're at the lowest, 499, but boy, that issue just is still pretty much center stage issue, huh?
Yeah, I think the consensus is people are tired. People want to move on. It's details keep changing all the time. I think about
the feds have not done the best job with this, that's for sure.
I think about the mask. Now the cloth masks aren't good enough for the Omicron.
And even surgical, but I guess the N95s.
N95 is ultimately the one you want. I don't know. Yeah, you could buy those at the hardware store, I guess, but I don't imagine there's much left there.
Yeah.
I think we had some tests mailed to us. I think my wife signed up and got.
Yeah, I got a
the
couple.
mailing.
I did the same. I got a couple the other day.
I thought it was curious, the article about a number of them were freezing, right?
Yeah.
And I never heard what the outcome was, if they're
Interesting.
still good or not, if they're still.
Oh, is that right?
If
It's
you can
funny you mentioned that. I ordered some Florida citrus the other day. Didn't happen to look on my porch late one afternoon. Came down the next morning to get the free press, or what's left of the free press, and there was my citrus. It spent about a 10-degree night on my porch, but seems edible. But I wasn't happy about that. So is that right? That issue came up with.
Yeah, I heard that a number of them sat in mailboxes and froze, and I don't know what the determination is, whether or not they're still good or not, but I guess a lot of people probably won't put a whole lot of confidence in a negative result if it had froze, my guess. But
how's Northwestern Medical Center? Are you hearing that some of the hospitals are really being pressed now with all the COVID patients, with other patients? Do you know how NMC is faring?
The last I heard was the COVID piece was not that extensive. It was just general other illnesses that were taking up beds at Northwest Medical. So a lot of bed activity, but not necessarily specific to COVID.
Yeah. City Hall's still open. I paid my taxes a couple days ago, so you can still walk into City Hall and do your business.
Everyone's at City Hall working daily basis, and so I haven't really seen a lot of changes. Every place I've been continues to be open. They recommend you wear a mask, which is understandable, but I haven't seen any changes in any schools. Obviously are struggling with staffing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But City School was closed down for one day prior to Christmas, and since then they've been operating ever since, so.
So at this point, there's no kind of background noise about maybe going back to remote learning, and in person is hanging in at the moment anyway, huh?
I have not heard any of that locally. I think they're trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah. And
So-
restaurants are, in fact, actually, again, we're taping the show on Wednesday, almost said April 19, I wish, January 19. I'm glad I'm so on top of things. Happened to eat at Jeff's last night with a friend on $10 burger night. And asked owner Katie, boy, and how long have you had that? She said, 4 years. I'm glad I'm so in that. That's a pretty good deal. But anyway, nice to see at least, restaurants hanging in there and stuff. But
Yeah, I think they're doing well.
Yeah.
I was in Jeff's the afternoon of New Year's Eve, and at 2:00 every table was taken, and
yeah,
I think they continue to do well.
interesting. But boy, just difficult times out there. Speaking of tests, I think I've been hearing last couple of days that the feds are giving away tests. I think maybe starting today, supposedly you can sign up at, I think it's covidtest.gov. For what that's worth. It seems like I've heard that on radio news. I'm not sure that's accurate, but maybe another way to get a few tests. But
Yeah, I've sort of lost track. During the holidays, they were giving them out down at V-Trans and at this Collins Pearly.
yeah,
And, they would advertise 8:00 giveaway, and they'd be gone by 7:45,
yeah. I was successful with a couple of those and not successful with a couple of others.
Yeah, I think
but-
we were successful only because we had signed up for students, parents of students could sign up,
Yeah.
and they'd have your name and they'd reserve them for you. So we benefited there, but
Yeah,
just trying to go any day to grab a couple was those were the lines. The traffic was backed up, and they
Yeah.
were gone in 45 minutes or whatever the time frame was.
yeah, all right.
I just want to touch on, you
Yeah,
talked about
anything.
Jeff's in downtown.
Yeah.
We're excited about 3 new businesses coming downtown.
In fact, I noted the messenger story on the bicycle shop
Bike-
coming to Main Street.
bike
That sounds
shop.
like a great thing to have for St. Albans.
I think it's long overdue.
Yeah,
I think they'll do a great business for sure. I think their concern has always been supply chain issues. Are they going to be able to get bikes?
yeah,
I know bike shops are still, they're like car dealers, right? They can't get inventory.
right.
So that's going to be a
We're talking
great.
82 North Main Street. Tell me what.
It's actually, if you remember, it was where the old endurance sports used to be.
Is that
Where
right?
Larry
It's kind
Martel,
of fitting, I guess.
So it's 84 Main, had the
Interesting.
84 Main sports bar as well.
Okay.
But that's where Larry started out, or just to the door next to it, one of the two.
Interesting.
And then the other one is Nourish is moving up off from Center Street onto
Right.
to the corner of Kingman and Main.
Yeah.
And then the Hangry Donut is taking a spot on Main as well.
Huh.
And the thing that we're excited about Nourish and the Hangry Donut is both of them have created wholesale markets as well.
Oh,
So they can create their product, and then they ship them off to other entities to sell. Like I think Nourish does a lot with either Whole Foods or Healthy Living. Hangry Donut ships their donuts off to the Catalyst and other coffee shops as well. So they're not just dependent on that walk-in traffic on a daily basis, but they have that wholesale aspect of the business, which is great to have both. So
interesting.
we're excited about all 3 of those being on Main Street. It'll make for an exciting spring and summer with more, and we continue to have other conversations with other businesses as well.
It's good. Good to hear some
Yeah.
new activity. Any winter, St. Albans would have the winter carnival. Any talk about having a winter carnival again this year? Or?
Yeah, it's on.
It is on.
Don't hold me to the dates of February 17th to the 22nd or
Good, but
something.
it is on.
It is on. They'll be having fireworks up, not in the park, but up at Hardak.
Hardak.
They opened up yesterday. The rope tow was open for skiing
Huh, really?
based on the snow we got.
First time this year?
I think it was, yeah.
Really?
They've been making snow, and then they had they've been having some sliding as well.
Huh.
So I think the lodge is open. They have the snack bar open up there as well. So I was up on Monday, I guess, and they had good crowd. They hadn't opened up the rope tow yet. I think Tuesday was the first day they did that.
Interesting, great. And the swimming pool, just buttoned down for the winter, Tim, or is there?
Pretty much. I think they're doing some piping inside the buildings for the filtration system.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, it's nothing that anyone would notice.
Yeah.
And we're still on schedule for June 1, which will be exciting in itself.
And then, of course, the bubble comes in the fall. So
Probably late August, early September installation. So that will be the first. So they'll walk us through the process, and I'm thinking we'll continue to contract with them to install and remove on a yearly basis.
How big a job is that, or do you not have much of a handle?
I don't know that yet. It'll be interesting to see how it works.
Interesting. But June, still looking at June for the opening?
June 1, yeah.
Wow. And again, the old swimming pool, the now basically former, I know you talked about maybe keeping the kind of the bathhouse area open for bathroom use, but is that still?
That conversation hasn't moved too far beyond that. Obviously, we're going to want to address it when the winter breaks.
Yeah.
We don't want to be leaving the pool there as is, so
Yeah.
we'll have that conversation here soon.
Yeah. Again, I always ask you about USCIS, U.S. Customs and Immigration Services. Anything new on that?
No, I just sent an email off to our federal delegation, my contacts at Welch's, Sanders, and Leahy's office, and a little concerned no one responded, so I'm not sure if that's
Really?
good news or bad news. So I need to follow up with them again and see what they're able to find out.
As we've talked about before, I mean, one thought is they just might stick with the status quo. But they did they specifically sought proposals, though, correct?
Yeah,
They being the feds.
They did
GSA
two
or
steps of the
whoever.
process. One was
Yeah.
initially they had a requested letter of intent. So who is interested in doing something? So people responded to that. And then they followed that up with probably about 4 to 6 weeks later with a request for proposals. So they've taken it that far. I'd like to think they're going to continue to move forward, and that's what we're trying to find out with the delegation is what. And the problem with it sounds like the delegation is unresponsive, but the actual truth is that
They're probably not getting any info.
exactly immigration doesn't own, or they don't owe them any responses.
Right.
They're sort of a independent agency that they pretty much do their own thing. So. I'm giving the delegation a little time to maybe do some homework, but the expectation is that they won't get that significant of an answer from immigration.
Interesting. We'll see work this year. The Fonda Solo site, future home of the Railroad Dispatch Center, should see some remedial work over there this summer, Tim?
Actually, we just signed the paperwork yesterday
Really?
to sell the back lot to Connor Contracting. The back lot is cleaned, and now it's ready for them to begin construction.
Really?
So Connor will be constructing a building for the dispatch center and leasing it to them. It's 10,000 square foot. The city will
Right.
continue to move forward on the infrastructure. They have the agreement with the railroad for that section of track that goes up towards the Messenger and connects to the rail trail.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when done, someone coming off the rail trail can scoot down and get to Federal Street on that. There'll be a road and a set aside for the rail trail as well.
Down to less than a minute made me think of the old Federal Street extension. I think I've got the wrong name, but is there still some work on that going on, or will I ever see the completion of that?
I don't know
in
if
my
you will or not,
lifetime?
Richard. We own some land there that hasn't materialized into a project yet. I think we've been focused on other aspects for sure. It hasn't been a priority, put it that way. So we'll see where that lies.
Tim, just a few seconds, any 10 seconds worth of anything else here?
No, just get out and vote.
Yeah.
I think the city's done a great job with the budget, and like I said, we'll see where the education budget falls, but keep in mind the city did a 0.4% increase.
Very good. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Thanks to producer Roger. I'm Richard Cobrathwaite. See you next time on Northwest Access TV. See ya.